My name is Yang Fu, and what you're about to hear, well, it's a confession. A confession sent straight from the freezing, desolate ice of the Arctic. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like some distant myth or a fairy tale, right? But I promise you, it's not. It's a very real, very painful lesson written in my own blood and tears. It's the story of a hidden trap, a trap of self-righteousness. So sit with me for a bit. Let me show you exactly how a genuinely devout soul can plunge straight into the abyss, all because of simple, pure ignorance. I am a polar bear. That's my reality right now. And I am truly, deeply repenting for the sins I committed out of sheer ignorance. Just imagine it for a second. You reach the end of a lifetime of devout spiritual practice. You close your eyes, fully expecting some divine reward, maybe passing on to a higher realm. But then you open them again, and you're trapped in a freezing wasteland. You're a beast. That is exactly what happened to me. And you know what? I can't even complain. I have absolutely nobody to blame but myself. The pain is so incredibly real because I finally realized that despite being a monk, I completely turned my back on the most core precepts. And the absolute tragedy of it all, I didn't do it out of malice. I did it out of complete, total blindness.
Let's rewind a bit. Looking back at my human life, I was actually born into a really poor farming family. When I was 18, I caught a horrific illness. I was quite literally at death's door. Even my fiancée left me. Lying there, fading away, I made this desperate, incredibly pure vow. If the Buddha would just spare my life, I would dedicate every single remaining second of it to him. And a miracle happened. I healed overnight. Talk about a second chance, right? So to repay this immense grace, at 19, I shaved my head and officially became a monk. I lived a really strict, quiet life in a small temple. Fast forward to age 35, my peers trusted me so much, they actually made me the temple treasurer. I managed all the community's funds. At 58, I passed away peacefully. To anyone looking from the outside, I lived a flawless life of total dedication.
So, where did it all go wrong? Well, in Buddhism, we have this foundational concept called the Three Jewels: the Buddha, the Dharma, or the teachings, and the Sangha, which is the monastic community. Obviously, as a monk, I was part of the Sangha. I was one of the jewels. At the time, I just naturally assumed, hey, since I'm part of the Three Jewels, I'm basically one with the sacred Dharma. Therefore, any money donated by the public to the Three Jewels, well, that naturally included supporting me, right? I completely, foolishly equated my own personal physical needs with the sacredness of the Three Jewels. I literally didn't see the massive, fatal blind spot in that logic.
Let me tell you exactly how I completely tricked myself. As I got older, my body naturally started having issues, so I felt totally justified dipping into the temple's public funds to buy myself medicine, some nuts, some nutritious fruit, just to keep myself going. I even shared some with the other monks. I would literally tell myself, hey, I need to stay healthy, right? If I'm healthy, I can preach the Buddha's teachings for a much longer time. It sounded so noble. When I traveled long distances to deliver letters, I'd get hungry and just buy some food with the public money. Never wrote it down, not once. Sometimes I'd see incredibly poor, suffering people on the road, and I'd use the temple's funds to help them out. I was using public donations to do what I considered good deeds and to fund my own health. I had zero clue that taking those funds without permission was a colossal sin. Now, my abbot, he was this incredibly strict monk who practiced noble silence. He almost never spoke. But watching what I was doing, he actually broke his vow of silence just to give me a severe warning. He looked at me and said, a penny of the Buddha is as big as Mount Samuru. Now, Mount Samuru is like this unfathomably massive cosmic mountain in Buddhist cosmology. He was desperately trying to warn me that misusing even a single cent of the Buddha's money creates karma as heavy as an entire mountain. But man, I was just so arrogant. I completely brushed it off. I thought he was just nitpicking, telling me to keep better track of the accounting books. I just nodded, said, sure thing, and went right back to my secret little spending habits, totally blind to this massive mountain of karmic debt I was building.
Then, at 58, my time was up. I died. I honestly thought heavenly beings were going to descend and escort me straight to a pure paradise, but that's not who was waiting for me. I woke up facing King Yama, the ultimate judge of the underworld. The shock, the absolute devastation, I still can't shake it. In my mind, I was the perfect monk. I didn't kill, I wasn't lustful, I didn't lie, I never drank alcohol. I was clean. But King Yama, he brutally laid out the truth. My crime was embezzlement. By blurring the lines between what was mine and what belonged to the public, I had actually broken the absolute core precept, the rule against stealing. Without even realizing it, I was a thief.
Because of the sheer weight of stealing public donations, King Yama sentenced me to spend 3 full lifetimes in the freezing Arctic as a polar bear. And let me tell you, this punishment, it's not just heavy, it is deeply, painfully ironic. You see, as a monk, my entire purpose was to cultivate a pure, unblemished, absolutely spotless soul. But I failed. So, as a cruel joke, I was given this coat of stark white fur. Today, every single time I look down at these massive white paws, this fur is just a constant physical reminder. It's a walking punishment that screams at me, this is the purity you were supposed to maintain, but you completely stained it with your ignorance.
And the torment of this punishment, it's unimaginable. For my first 2 lifetimes as a bear, which was about 60 years, I completely lost my human consciousness. I was nothing but a mindless, ignorant beast. I hunted, I ate fish, I killed just to survive. I was just stacking up more and more horrible karma from killing. But then came my 3rd life. Amidst this deep, dark ignorance, a ray of light pierced through. The South Sea ancient Buddha actually appeared right there on the ice. She looked at me with such overwhelming pity and called out my human name. "Young Fu," she said, "are you still not awake?" And in a flash, every single memory of my human life came rushing back. I threw my head back and let out this agonizing howl. I cried until I couldn't breathe, finally realizing just how far I'd fallen.
But waking up inside the body of a beast, that is a whole new kind of nightmare. I want you to ask yourself honestly right now, if you were starving to death, if your stomach was literally eating itself, could you survive on nothing but solid ice and freezing water? Because as a bear, my primal instincts are screaming at me to hunt fish, but as an awakened monk, I know I absolutely cannot commit the sin of killing ever again. So to protect what little purity I have left, I choose to starve. I force myself to crunch on rock-hard ice and swallow freezing water just to numb the agonizing hunger pangs. This is my actual spiritual practice now. I'd rather endure this torturous physical starvation than let my soul be compromised one more time.
So here I am. This is my desperate plea echoing out from the ice. I'm sharing all of this agony with you because I am yearning, I am begging to be reincarnated as a human being again. You really don't realize how precious it is until it's gone. Having a human body, having the mind to actually practice spirituality and help others. It is such an impossibly rare and massive privilege. Please, I am begging you, whoever is listening to this right now, do not squander your human life. Do not waste your chances. Trying to practice spirituality when you're a starving beast is basically impossible. Learn from my tragic, foolish mistakes. Don't end up like me.
You see, I was never some cartoon villain. I wasn't evil. I was just a regular guy who genuinely thought he was doing the right thing. I thought I was the exception to the rule. I thought taking a little public money for my health or to help the poor was totally fine. But if someone like me, a devoted monk living a quiet, strictly religious life, can tumble straight into the abyss and rack up a mountain of karmic debt just from one little blind spot, well, what about you? What unexamined rationalizations are hiding in your everyday life right now? Where are you bending the rules and just whispering to yourself, it's fine, it's no big deal? Take a really close look at your choices today, because trust me, you do not want to wake up in the ice.